Hey guys, E3 just wrapped up. We're on day 4. It's June 13th right now. I want to make this video because, um, well, after E3, all we really do is just kind of watch gameplay videos and watch people talk about their hands-on experience playing the games themselves. Like, people are playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Some people are playing the Final Fantasy VII remake, and I've been watching a lot of videos mainly on those two games. As you can, I'm going to. It's a spoiler, but I think everyone should know that I'm excited for those two games. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and I also want to say I want to make this video because sometimes it's fun to look at the videos from previous E3s to talk about what was exciting about back then, and also because if there's a game you're really excited about, like say people who were really excited about Final Fantasy 15, when they got the finished game, there's all this great footage from E3, Final Fantasy 15 that just was not in the game, and that's really upsetting that it's not in the game at all. So yeah, so where I don't think they're going to do it with Final Fantasy VII because Final Fantasy VII is based off an older game and they're going to have to recreate those moments. But also, Final Fantasy VII is actually due next year, very early next year. So I think there's no way they're going to, like, I don't think they're going to, just like completely change elements from the original game that they've already shown are going to be in this new game. So either way, it's always good to make these kind of videos in the first place. So I already did make a video talking about Xbox, but that video, that video was fine. And I made a video talking about Nintendo that was mostly focused on the two Smash characters because I'm a channel that talks about Smash characters. And even the Xbox video, I talked about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot because I like talking about Dragon Ball Z. And I talked about Banjo not being present at all during Microsoft's E3 press conference. And I kind of was trying to give you guys some hope, saying Banjo could still happen. He's not completely out yet. And that's what I do. I talk about Smash. I talk about Dragon Ball Z. So I'm going to talk about other things right now that also got me excited. But I'm basically talking about what I'm most hyped for after seeing E3. So number one is by far, I'm going to have to say, is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just want to talk about that briefly. Square Enix started with that right off the bat, and I'm really glad they did because that's the reason. I was watching for two reasons, to see that and to see the Marvel game. Everything else they showed, I literally could not give a shit about. Like, everything else they showed, we already saw. We already knew was coming, and I didn't know that Final Fantasy VIII Remake was coming, but I don't give a shit about Final Fantasy VIII. And, even though I like some of the other Final Fantasy games, like 9 and 10 and all that, and I've never played 12, but I have no desire to really play them now on the Switch either. So I just, to me, it's kind of like, who cares? All I really care about is the Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Marvel game. So, yeah, we already kind of knew what the gameplay would be like, but they really explained it in depth, and I gotta say, this is looking good. It's people were saying, oh, if it plays like Kingdom Hearts, that's good. Well, it doesn't play like Kingdom Hearts. Cloud can't jump. Some people might say, oh, it plays like Kingdom Hearts because you mash attack, and it's like, nope. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, you have like magic and summons, and you have to jump and dodge, use your abilities to your advantage to survive in battle, and all that management of those skills. And you also have like drive forms in the sense of Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 3, you just mash square and then you beat the game. That was Kingdom Hearts 3. But this game is looking more in terms, it's more similar to Final Fantasy 15 than any Kingdom Hearts game by far. With at that, I would also say it's really not like Kingdom Hearts, or it's really not like Final Fantasy 15 either, but it does take some inspiration from it as far as its presentation goes. Some people are comparing it more to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the reason why is because there's a stagger meter, and once you stagger people, you can like knock them over and beat them up. It seems like this game is actually going to play more like a, it is going to play similar to Xenoblade 2, where it's kind of like, it's not turn-based, it's real-time, but it's almost like an MMO in some senses. However, I'm not saying this is quite Final Fantasy 12 levels, because you can block and dodge, and you can, there's moments where you have to get behind debris and cover, and you can mash square, and there's a combo system. There's combos and switching to characters to do combos together. It seems like they're very inspired by Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but still trying to keep it real time action and turning it more into an action game, and with heavy RPG elements. It definitely has a very Square Enix battle system where they take something that should be simple and overcomplicate the fuck out of it. However, I really like that here because I didn't want a straight up action game. I wanted a game that had thought and challenge to it. Those are the kind of games I like. I like hack and slash games, but I need them to be like Devil May Cry or like Bayonetta, where you gotta dodge, you gotta do, you gotta use certain attacks, you gotta try to build really big combos, and that's what I need. I don't want it to be like Kingdom Hearts, for example. And again, I love Kingdom Hearts, but I just want people to enjoy Final Fantasy VII the way it's supposed to be played. And when you remake a game and you have stuff like materia and all this other stuff, and it's supposed to be a long story, the reason why these games have long stories is so that way you level up really, really strong as you play. And it's about your own personal character growth as you play. And it's all about developing the actual story itself. So the idea that it would be such a cakewalk or a breeze, and also no, this is the way I want it to be. This is perfect. This is literally the best case scenario. Because when they first showed the remake, I was actually pissed off. I actually was really not happy with it, and the reason why is because, well, yes, it looked really good, and Cloud and the other members of Avalanche were all really awesome. They were very true to the original designs, and I was really happy with how they all looked. Um, I didn't like the combat because to me, I think the turn-based combat of Final Fantasy VII was really good. It was very nuanced, and it was a big draw to the game. And I said, yeah, hey, everyone who's saying, wow, it looks better because it's not turn-based anymore. Um, I liked that it was turn-based. It was one of the best turn-based JRPGs I've ever played. It's one of the best examples of turn-based. Final Fantasy 6, 7, and Chrono Trigger really nailed it on the fucking head on how you should make a turn-based battle system, and I really think other companies should, look at that. And turn-based has its presence, it has its role, it has its reason for being in the JRPG genre, and trying to say it's obsolete or it's not fun, you're just an idiot. Like, that's like if I went up to someone who liked racing games and said, nope, racing games are bad. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you don't like a genre, then you don't like a genre. And I think a lot of people who think Final Fantasy 7 is going to be better now that it's not JRPG, I think they're just gonna have to or not. It's not turn based. It's like, you guys are gonna be in for a rude awakening when you realize this game still has strategy and you have to think while you're fighting. You have to still use strategy to fight. So all I gotta say is that it's looking really good. I love seeing Barrett shoot enemies that are like on walls that Cloud just can't reach. I love that Barrett seems to be a lot slower than Cloud, and that Cloud can block with his big heavy shield. I'm assuming that Cloud's block is probably going to be a lot better than Tifa or Ares' ability to block. They're probably going to have like really bad blocking. So maybe if you're with the girls, if you're with both Tifa and Ares, you might have to like actually protect them a little bit with Cloud, because otherwise they might take too much damage. So that could be that's kind of like a cool little mechanic. Of course, Tifa seems like she'll be really fast, so she'll probably be able to dodge, zip around, and get behind cover, and she'll probably be okay mostly on her own. And I'm assuming she's going to be a big heavy hitter, probably going to be one of the stronger characters in the game, with a lot of physical damage. And I'm assuming Ares is going to have a lot of MP. And so if you do protect her correctly with whatever your other two characters, she'll probably be able to shower your two units with a ton of health while casting powerful magical spells at bosses. So she might be a really good character, especially if you only need two powerhouses to get the job done. So I'm thinking Cloud, Tifa, and Ares is going to be a legitimate team that's going to kick a lot of ass. However, it's looking like the game's going to mostly take place in Midgar. Now, in Midgar, you do meet Red 13 there, but he's the fifth character you get, meaning there's not going to be much strategy involved with picking your team, because by the time you meet back up with Barrett after you've met Ares, you lose Ares. You lose her because she's taken away to the Shinra building. and then you spend most of that section with Cloud, Tifa, and Barret, the three of you. So I think for the most part of the game, you're not going to have Ares with you. And for the most part, you're going to have Tifa and Barret with you, and they're going to be your teammates. And well, if you actually get to use Red 13 as a playable character, that's still yet to be determined and yet to be seen. And if, what that'll even be like, I don't know. But what would be the point of making a character that's only really playable at the very, very end for like the final boss or something? So I'm actually thinking that Red isn't going to be much there, and you're not going to have to worry too much about team, picking your teams, because you really don't have to even pick your team at all until after you meet up with Ares and Red. So really, the game kind of sets you up to be, a 2-man or 3-man team until you leave Midgar. So that's kind of a bummer to me. I actually want there to be more stuff like that. I actually want there to be things where I want there to be more harder choices where you have to pick between characters and who would be best for this mission. I think that's going to be an element that'll be more properly introduced in the next game, because if the next game is basically all of Disc 1 after Midgar, that means we'll probably get, that means for sure you'll get every character. If the game ends before Ares dies, for example, because that's what happens at the very end of Disc 1, I believe, then you probably will still get most of the characters. Like, you'll probably still get a lot of characters. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure you get every character much before you go to where Ares dies. So I'm pretty sure the next game will be really fucking massive and big, and the rest of the characters will be in that game. So that game will be more about team composition, which is, again, sad. This is the problem with making an episodic game. And to be fair, because of their ambition, because of how they want to set Midgar up and turn it into an open world in itself, it kind of does neuter the idea of the rest of Final Fantasy VII. But the funny thing is that if you make the second game an open world game with fast travel and stuff, that's all between Midgar or it's all like everything after Midgar, you don't really go back to Midgar in Final Fantasy VII, period. You just don't really go back there unless you want to, just for fun. Like, the only things there until Disc 2 is just going there just to have a good time. So really, yeah. Disc 1 or the second game also, I think, will be fine as far as an open world, because they'll probably have the dune buggy and that you can drive around in between the towns, and it'll be just a fast travel system in general, where you don't have to fight monsters and grind in between events, and you'll probably just go from story set piece to story set piece. So there'll be a lot of traveling involved, but it should be fine. But my biggest concern is how they're gonna do all the side quest stuff and all the little mini games you can play, especially as you move on, because as you move on to next discs in Final Fantasy VII, you can go back and revisit some of these mini games still. You can always do the chocobo race stuff. You can always find chocobos. You can always do a lot of the stuff at any point in the game. So some stuff will be fine, fighting the weapons. They'll probably just be for the final game, but other stuff not so much. So it's kind of tricky and confusing on how they're gonna do this. But I'm hoping at least this first piece of the puzzle, this first game, I'm hoping it's good, man. I'm just hoping it's good. Anything else I want to talk about? I mean, most of the stuff I already talked about was during Xbox's event, because Bethesda put me to sleep. Bethesda, I sleep. I don't care about Fallout 76. I don't care about Elder Scrolls Online. And they couldn't show me anything I cared about. The only thing that was kind of good was Doom Eternal. That was really it. And the thing is about Doom Eternal is it's just Doom again. I think that's fine for most people, because if you have a game that's good, just make it again, but more. Put more stuff in it. And the multiplayer mode sounds cool. I probably never play it. I'll probably never play it. unless I play it with like my friends. I'm probably not gonna play it competitively online. I'm probably not gonna play it. So yeah, I mean, Doom was fine. Doom was a fun game. I think it's a little overhyped, a little overrated. And I can say that because Doom on now the new Doom games are really nothing like the old ones. They're inspired by it, the old ones, but they're so modernized that they're not comparable. They're just not comparable. So I'd rather play Brutal Doom, to be honest, than play either. Play the new one, and I don't really care about Eternal either. So yeah, so but Bethesda basically put me to sleep. I do want to say real quick that the Avengers game is looking pretty good. I know a lot of people are making jokes about how the Avengers don't look good themselves. Well, that's because they went for really realistic graphics and tried to make realistic looking humans that looked kind of like the Avengers but don't have any of their actual likenesses. I think a better approach would have been like something like how Batman Arkham does it, where characters look like realistic humans, and when Batman wears the bat suit, he actually looks more like a character from like one of the Batman movies than he does like anything else. He doesn't look like a Batman comic book character, but he looks like he could have been from a Batman movie, just wearing the cowl and seeing his mouth and jawline. But when you see Bruce Wayne in Arkham City, he doesn't look like any real life actor. He looks very stylized. It's still the Arkham style. And that really worked for the Arkham games. It looked really good. And I think the problem is with this Marvel Avengers game is that the characters kind of just look too similar, but yet too off at the same time. It's a little uncanny. I think they should have gone with a more stylized approach. I think Iron Man looks hella fucking good, and the Hulk looks like the Hulk, and he actually looks the most like his movie counterpart because he just looks like the Hulk. But Iron Man and Hulk look fine, but Captain America, Black Widow, and Thor all look really awkward. Captain America definitely looks a lot better when he's wearing his mask, but for the most part, these characters just look kind of strange and awkward. And I really like Bruce Banner and Tony Stark's like faces later on too, but for the most part, they're going for this like trying to be like the movie thing, and without getting the actual likenesses. I think that was the wrong call. I think they should have done what Batman does, where they just made their very, very own stylized character that's inspired by the comics animated series. If the movies were more inspired by them, like I think Iron Man's armor design is really good because it looks really cartoony, but also really realistic. I think Iron Man is a great example of how they could have done the rest of the characters, but I don't know. So they're all looking kind of funky, but the game could be really damn good. It could be really fucking good. Also, it looks like Captain America dies in the very beginning anyway, so yeah, and it's probably a good thing because he'd probably be the most boring character to play of the five of them. I don't know where Hawkeye is, but he's probably going to be in the game because they already showed that Hank Pym is in the game. If you don't know, that's Ant-Man. So, yeah. The game, though, the idea that it's going to play like a single-player Uncharted-style game, but with all the different Avengers characters. Like, sometimes you're flying as Iron Man, sometimes you're hitting people with a hammer with Thor, sometimes you're jumping around with the Hulk, and sometimes you're doing, like, more stealthy, combat-orientated stuff, maybe stuff that might have more Batman Arkham-style gameplay with Black Widow. That sounds like fun. I would love to jump between those four. If I'm going to jump between four characters, those would be the four I'd want to jump between. So that looks pretty good. And I also want to lastly talk about the other Avengers game. It's going to be on the Switch, Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm not going to say anything besides it looks like a lot of fun. I like I like Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, so I'm excited for that one too. What else? Besides that, I'm really excited for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Really excited for Cyberpunk, obviously. And I'm a huge CD Projekt Red fan. I really loved Witcher 2 and 3. I didn't play 1. I watched my little brother play 1. But I played 2. I played 3. I really, really liked both of them, especially 3. I think 2 I thought 2 was one of the best games I ever played, and then 3 came out. And now I can't even look at 2 like it's a good game anymore. I feel like 3 outshadows 2 so much. It makes 2 so obsolete as far as how much improved the gameplay is. It's incredible. I think 3 is like almost a perfect game. I think 3 is a game that everyone should play. And so then when that company that made that fucking fantastic game makes they're talking about making open world futuristic sci-fi RPG first person shooter game. That's like a dream come true for me. That's like the perfect game. So because I love that scenario more than fantasy, and I love these writers, and it's looking fucking good. And we all knew it looked good before we saw Keanu Reeves, but that's like a nice little cherry on top, and that's something that will get players who weren't as interested now more interested. It'll also be something to get people who don't even know much about video games, who just play random games, to be interested. Just say, hey, it's like Fallout. Well, Keanu Reeves is in it. Yes, that's fine. Just play it. I don't care, because I don't even think it's gonna be like Fallout. But if you say that, people will be like, oh, I understand that stupid sentence. So of course, I'm excited about those. I'm also excited about, I'm really excited about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's looking good. There's lots of gameplay videos you can watch now, and they're looking good, boy. It's looking good. That game is like Legacy of Goku fully realized on a console. So, Jesus Christ, hell yeah. Super excited to see that. I'm excited about the Star Wars game, the Lego one, and the one that looks like Uncharted, Jedi Fallen Order. That game looks really good, really good. So yeah, really happy with what I'm seeing so far. Not much disappointments about E3. I think this E3 was just really good. The only disappointment was that Sony wasn't there, but they already showed a huge trailer for Death Stranding, and that's really what I cared about anyway. And, well, Last of Us is on the way, so I don't need anything about Last of Us spoiled. I know it's on the way. All the games they showed last year are still coming out. They're not out yet, so we would only just see more of the same anyway. So, whatever. I'll just wait for those games to come out. And yeah, I'm just really happy and really excited. As far as who else presented, Ubisoft, I sleep. Bethesda, I sleep. Only thing, yeah, I kind of wish I saw more of Capcom, but we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna end this video here. Basically, I'm gonna have to say this video is about Final Fantasy VII Remake because that's all I really cared about. That really, really speaks to me. So I'm gonna end this video here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.